Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Sid Meier's Gettysburg for the July 1st Grand Battle. This is a scenario that was provided with the game Sid Meier's Gettysburg, which gives you control of either the Union or the Confederates for the entire first day's action. Unlike the majority of the game's experience, and certainly the way the campaign plays out, there are no dynamic battle-to-battle results in playthrough. Instead, this is just one big battle that simulates the meeting engagement which took place on July 1st, 1863, as General Reynolds' Corps attempted to hold off against General Hill's and later General Ewell's Corps, as additional reinforcements came up for the Union as well. In this video, this is part 2 of our look at this scenario. On the first episode, we were pushed back from McPherson's Ridge, actually from Hare's Tavern first, then McPherson's Hill and McPherson's Ridge, and driven back to the Lutheran Seminary, the Will Woods, and the Seminary Ridge. The Confederates have also taken Oak Hill to the north, so currently our position is a little bit tenuous. The Confederates have attacked between the gap in General Meredith's Iron Brigade and General Cutler's Iron Brigade of the East, they're the New Yorkers, and are currently trying to basically take advantage of this gap between these troops and split the two commands in half. Currently, Cutler is hanging on by the skin of his teeth. He's got a few units in place, and we're using elements of what's left of Buford's division to try and buttress that. And we're really trying to kind of flank the flankers. You can see here 4 regiments of Confederates have gotten around General Meredith's flank. The 7th Wisconsin is there, and it is holding out at the moment. But who knows, their right flank could be in the air. Otherwise, the enemy could split these two brigades in two and defeat them in detail. All is not lost yet, however, as we do have reserves coming up. So Wadsworth is the commander of the 1st Division, and he's currently supporting, I think he's somewhere around here, General Gamble's over there. Where is Wadsworth? I think he might have been wounded. I'm not quite... Oh, no, Wadsworth's up here in the north with Meredith. But the 2nd Division from the 1st Corps is also arriving on the field. So Robinson's 2nd Division of the 1st Corps, General Paul and General Baxter's brigades are in the process of moving up. We were going to extend our flank south with General Paul, and then Baxter was going to kind of try and fill the gap, but I'm not sure if he's going to get there in time or not. We'll see. We're about 3 hours into the first day's fight, so we're at 10:35 a.m. The battle began at 7:45, so a little bit shy of 3 hours into the fight. Not real-time hours, but in-game hours. We've got all the way till anywhere between 8:30 and 9 p.m., however, to try and win a victory. We're currently winning, but if this ridge falls, if Seminary Ridge falls, that'll even things out pretty nicely. If we lost the Lutheran Seminary and Seminary Ridge, it would make pretty much an even score. The Confederates have lost almost 2,000 infantry, no artillery or cavalrymen so far. We've lost about 2,500 casualties worth of points, but not quite as many casualties. So fewer men, but the men we've lost are worth more. Cavalry are worth 2 points for every casualty, artillery 3. I'm not quite playing that way, but I was kind of sacrificing my cavalry in the interest of kind of holding the enemy in position. Gamble's and Devon's brigades got chewed up pretty badly, but we'll see how this all plays out. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get the battle resumed here, and we can see here these troops are fighting it out here, and we'll see again what is in store for us here. 76 New York. This artillery's not doing anything. Why don't they advance over here? Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's any way that we're holding here. They're driving more fresh troops forward. 76 has hold orders. I'd rather they retreat.
Reporting, General.
General Reynolds has been wounded. General Gamble. No! Gamble, get back, or get over there. Alright, so they've now broken Cutler's right flank. Meredith's 7th Wisconsin has also been broken. So I think what I'm going to do here, let's go ahead and pause. We have these troops coming up, but frankly, I think the situation on this ridge line is more or less lost, I'm actually going to fall back to Cemetery Hill. So I know things are desperate. It's a little bit early in the morning to be pushed back all the way to Cemetery Hill, but we're going to fall back to Cemetery Hill and Culp's Hill and try and make the best of it. I think if we can hold out on both Culp's and Cemetery Hill, they're both worth 10 victory points, and then Cemetery Ridge as well. Maybe we'll have a chance at eking out a minor victory. But I'm going to go ahead and, oops, that is not at all what I wanted you to do. I'm going to go ahead and order all of these regiments here in Meredith's brigade to retreat. And then we're going to have Meredith pull out Wadsworth pull out. And I think we're just going to kind of helter-skelter pull back. We'll have Baxter go ahead and immediately move out this way. He'll form a double line on Cemetery Hill, and Paul will form a line a little bit to his south as well. We'll reposition as necessary, but I'm hoping that I've got additional forces on the way. Devon, I'm going to have him pull back to behind the hill. We'll see if he can form up over there. And Reynolds, you're going to pull back. You're already wounded, so that kind of simulates. The thing is, officers can't die in this game. They can be wounded, which basically reduces their ability to effectively lead their troops, or especially rally their troops, but they can't actually die. So the wounding of Reynolds is essentially the equivalent of him being killed as he was historically on July 1st. Alright, so these guys are pulling back. I meant to click on Gamble. There we go.
Maneuver columns!
Alright, so we'll unpause. I'm hoping I can get Meredith around the enemy flank and then get him to retreat to the ridgeline. Basically, everybody's retreating and running for their lives.
Maneuver columns!
Alright, Meredith, you're going to head for Culp's Hill. Hopefully he gets out around these guys. There's a couple of regiments, the 76th and 95th New Yorks, that are still here. Buford is also wounded. So you can see here we're moving pretty quickly in a great skedaddle back to the ridgeline. So by noon, we'll be fully off this line, and the enemy will have likely taken these. Okay. So these guys are kind of fighting a rear guard action, the 76th New York, the 84th New York, and the 56th Pennsylvania. I'm trying to get the 56th Pennsylvania and the 84th New York out in good order so that they can still be used. I think the 95th and 76th are pretty much shot up. But at least they're buying some time and forcing the Rebs to remain in line. Meanwhile, most of the Iron Brigade, 4 regiments, are all pulling out in good order, largely untouched. The 6th Wisconsin was lightly engaged. So was the 2nd Wisconsin and 19th Indiana and 24th Michigan. But for the most part, all these guys were left for...
We'll get it back.
you know, left alone, essentially. So Meredith's moving that way. Wadsworth also. Alright, so let's zoom in here and try and sort this whole situation out. So Baxter's here. I think these are all Baxter's troops.
Double line!
Essentially, we've got a double line formed for Robinson's division on Cemetery Hill. And just to the south, and then the rest of the troops here extending a little bit south. I think what we'll do is we'll put Meredith his troops on Robinson's flank,
Maneuver column.
extending the line eastward toward Culp's Hill
Battle line.
in a single line. These guys are going to be a little bit out in the open, though.
Hedgehog hosting is the warm,
Reynolds,
fuzzy
I want you
approach.
rallying, but I want you
We've been
further
around
to
for about
the rear.
16
Devon,
years.
you're already in the
Provide
rear.
security services,
Gamble, I think, will
infrastructure
form the
services,
flank.
and other
Actually, I'm going to put
technology
probably
services.
Gamble
We
up
wanted
on
to really
Culp's
set
Hill
ourselves
itself.
apart. Hedgehog hosting spoke to the character of who we were as a company. Richard and I,
It's going to be
we've always
way
been
out there
friends.
and
I think
over,
our
you
main
know,
difference really is the people.
overextended.
We generate traffic through our
And then
window
Devon, if he
domain.
has
It
any
works.
troops,
It's set up to work.
probably
My name is
form up
Richard
to the
Feller.
other
I'm
flank.
Jeff Janisman, hedgehoghosting.com.
Where's Cutler? Cutler's over here. I don't know if he has any troops left with any real fight in them. Looks like he's got he's got the 3 regiments that are all exhausted. They'll form up the flank and kind of extend south towards Cemetery Ridge. And then whatever's left will move toward him to rally. And we'll unpause at that. So I'm hoping the enemy comes straight at Cemetery Hill. That would be the best situation here. Paul should really extend into a battle line. So Paul's going to extend into a single battle line. Then Cutler's going to extend
Reinforcements
over
are
here. Alright, so we've got additional troops coming up. It looks like Howard's 11th Corps is starting to arrive on the field. I'm not sure where they come up. Okay. Perfect. So Schertz's division of Howard's Corps is coming up, and they're actually just going to form up right in our rear, so that's great. They're not great troops, but they will form up, I think, in pretty good, basically a perfect position right in our rear, so we can kind of extend the line to Culp's Hill with them, and probably a bit of a reserve as well. So we'll have 2 fresh divisions. We'll have Schertz's division and Robinson's division, both ready to meet the enemy. Are any of these troops not unlimbered? What's your line of sight? These guns.
Give me the binoculars.
So basically, if they attack Cemetery Hill, they'll be able to see them. I'm going to extend those guns out this way. We're going to extend Stevenson's battery out this
Sir,
way.
we'll get it back.
Okay. Now, if they do go for the flank, they did take... oh, there's Doubleday. Oh, shit. More troops coming up. We've got Doubleday's division coming up basically in the rear of the enemy line. That could be a problem.
Maneuver column.
So we're going to have
Maneuver column.
actually 3 fresh divisions. Doubleday's troops coming up. We'll set these guys up over here. To the south. And we'll see if the Rebs attack immediately. You can see they've got some troops just sitting in column formation. They may be waiting for additional troops to come as well. Now that we've gotten the bulk of our troops out of danger here, you can see we've lost about 1,000 infantry, so about 1/12 of our strength. Proportionately, I'm assuming they've lost a lot more. They've lost 1,800. Score-wise, they're now winning, however. All we have left is Cemetery Ridge, Cemetery Hill, and Culp's Hill. They've seized the Lutheran Almshouse, the Lutheran Seminary, Hare's Tavern, Oak Hill, Seminary Ridge, and McPherson's Hill. And our great skedaddle has pulled us out to the last line of defense, if you will.
Maneuver column. Battle line.
And so one of Gamble's regiments has rallied. Cutler likewise has another regiment formed up.
Sir, reinforcements are coming up.
Additionally, now we've got another division, General Barlow's division, arriving. Whoops. Schurz is up way in advance of his troops. Meanwhile, Barlow's also coming up. Presumably with troops somewhere around here. Looks like Barlow's troops are coming from down here. General Howard also is coming up this way. So where are these guys going to form up? Alright, so the enemy is coming after us now. They are advancing. More of Devon's troops are rallying. And the enemy is going right after our position over here.
Maneuver column. Battle line.
We'll extend.
Maneuver column. Battle line.
Shifting Gamble a little bit, bringing Devon over here as well. Looks like they're going to try and go up and around us a little bit. Directly for Culp's Hill, perhaps?
Maneuver column.
I hate that I'm relying on my cavalry over there on the flank.
Battle line.
Alright, I'm going to advance Meredith toward the enemy. It's away from our defensive position, may open up a little bit of a gap, but hopefully it'll at least force the enemy to commit.
Battle
We'll advance Gamble ever so slightly also to engage. Okay. I think our guns are spread out nicely. General, I can't pronounce your name. You're going to send your troops over to Culp's Hill.
Battle line.
Another one of, it looks like Cutler's entire brigade is now rallied, so they're in position. So Krasinski, you'll form up in the rear of Meredith.
Battle line.
General Schurz, your division's basically forming up in a line here, so you move that way. General Barlow, you're not going to advance quite so far. Your troops are still coming up. Stone, you're just going to form up on Cutler's flank. That'll be an easy straight march for you. Raleigh, you're going to form up as a reserve in the center. Stewart's battery was just routed. So that might have been a little bit too far forward here. Okay. So Meredith's troops are formed up over here.
Battle line.
Devon is directly on the hill. Schurz's troops will be up any minute.
Reporting, General.
We're going to move Wheeler over here. Wheeler's battery. Howard, you're going to get yourself wounded. Get the fuck back here. Alright, so Gamble's boys are engaging a lone rebel regiment here, just at the foot of Culp's Hill. Hopefully they can deal with that. Meredith's troops are Oh, wow. 9th Indiana's getting pounded by enemy artillery. You guys are going there. His troops are going to head over here.
Maneuver column.
Ames as well, just to kind of get them behind our
Maneuver
lines.
column. Reporting, General.
19th Indiana. 2nd Wisconsin is in a bit of trouble over here. Krasinski's troops are coming up. The problem is they're not experienced, so I don't want to double quick them because they will not last long in a fight in the first place. So we're just going to have to hope that Meredith's troops can hang on until these guys all deploy. My better of the two brigades is actually forming up on Culp's Hill. So I'm basically asking to be cut in two yet again. Raleigh, you're going to move your troops up over here
Maneuver column.
into double line here in the event that this front line gets pushed back a little bit. You'll also provide some flank support to those new troops going into position. Move this artillery up over here. Some Confederate troops charging right up the face of... why is the 7th Wisconsin all the way over here, all by themselves? Charging up the face of Cemetery Hill. Krasinski's brigade starting to get some troops in position. Perhaps they're beating back this initial rebel assault. I wouldn't say this is necessarily the maximum moment of danger, but it feels pretty close. Oh boy. A whole bunch more Confederate regiments coming into play. Some of the rear of Raleigh's brigade, I think, were forced to commit. They were coming across the field here, and they came right into these enemy troops, and that kind of automatically forced these guys to engage. So we're actually going to advance the 76th New York of Cutler's brigade and the 56th Pennsylvania. It's a bit of an opportunity to advance these elements. Yes, they'll lose their entrenchment bonus, but there's a bit of an opportunity here to maybe rout these two rebel regiments. They're going to be hit from front and flank. Should take the pressure off these two somewhat inexperienced regiments by advancing these crack troops under Cutler. I don't usually get this granular in some of my orders, but in this case it makes a lot of sense. Alright, so the 1st regiment is rolled up. I'm just going to keep advancing into that 2nd regiment. You rally those guns. Meanwhile, you can see here a lot of activity and action occurring right basically on top of Cemetery Hill here. The troops are somewhat congested, but I do think they're actually firing in reasonably good order. Some of the troops certainly are blocked. Alright, you're going to refuse your line back kind of around.
About face.
Alright, so we're having our flank brigade refuse its line, which basically means bend it back in on itself. We're going to move a 3rd Indiana up here to flank these rebs. Hopefully to make sure that Culp's Hill's safe. It's really hard to tell what's happening in here. We've got a couple of regiments here that are unengaged. You can see the rebels are really pushing us tight, but we've got quite a few troops in this area. Realistically, I probably need a lot of these guys to kind of hold their ground at all costs. Let's see. Wheeler's battery's been captured and another battery's been driven back. Got additional reinforcements coming up. Raleigh's brigade routed? Really? Or elements of his brigade routed. Ames, I'm going to need you to form up over here on double line. Glees, you're going to go right behind him. Deploying those 2 reserve brigades that were over there. Okay. Bring Stone into the picture as well. Alright, shifting our position a little bit, ever so slightly. Whoops. Alright, let's zoom out. Where are these? I know we've got additional troops coming up, don't we? Von Steinwehr's division. Starting to come up, so 2 more regiments at least. Moving forward here. Jesus, the 6th Wisconsin, or whatever this is, 26 Wisconsin. A lot of Wisconsin boys in this battle. But the Rebs are just stacking up and trying to overwhelm them. And the Rebs have a lot of artillery over there, too. Paul's brigade's slowly getting overwhelmed. Alright, Von Glees is coming forward. Ames, I think you're going to move over here.
Double
Shift a
line!
little bit on the double. Bring this battery up here. How about you retreat? Because I didn't ever want you there. Howard, none of your troops appear to need to rally. And Doubleday, why don't you go... Oh shit, they did kind of break our line over here. Or at least sort of, kind of, maybe, a little bit around our flank. I've got 1 regiment kind of lodged in here. It's not much of a break, but it is a bit of a risk. So I think what we're going to do with von Steinwehr is we're going to order his troops when they come up. No, don't take those roads. That's going to take you way out.
Maneuver column! Maneuver column! Maneuver column!
They're just overwhelming us. God, I keep clicking the wrong... There we go. Alright, so we've got 2 more brigades of infantry coming up. And the Rebs kind of, sort of, halfway broke our line. Just a little bit. There's a little bit of a gap here. It's not huge. I'm moving to restore that with a lone regiment here, the 97th New York. You can see here there's quite a bit of a... I don't even know what infantry I have up here. It looks like the 90th Pennsylvania. The one thing this game does get really challenging to figure out here is when your troops are kind of in these basically disastrous situations here, it becomes very challenging to keep track of, like, who the hell is where. And who's effectively fighting and who isn't. But just moving these regiments over just a little bit. We've got 2 regiments under Ames, or at least one is now engaged. There's so much rebel artillery. Paul's brigade. Probably get up there with your troops. No real push, I don't think, from Early's troops yet. I don't know how many more men the Rebs have. They finally started to lose some artillery casualties, but they're up to 4,700 infantry casualties. That's pretty substantial. So the 153rd Pennsylvania and the 58th New York are going to launch limited counterattack charges here. These guys were totally fresh, so the hope was that they drive back the Rebs that were kind of close to our positions there, and they did just that. Might be chasing them a little bit too far. Likewise, the 58th New York just charged into the flank of this rebel regiment. Drove them off. The brave 153rd is now charging out on its own. It's driven 2 enemy regiments back, and now it's trying to drive a 3rd back. And it succeeded. Wow. 153, you boys. Brave, brave boys.
Double line! On the double!
Brzezinski,
Double line!
form up. Alright, that allows us to push forward our right a little bit there. Alright, I'm going to try something similar. At least... we'll see. I'm trying to get more muskets into action here against these enemy. They've pushed back multiple lines of infantry here, but they're still playing pretty big nuisance here. So my goal is maybe to charge the enemy and drive them back, similar to what I did with 153rd or 158th or whichever it was. 153rd. So the second failed in its mission. It was not able to close the gap with the enemy. Meanwhile, the 24th Michigan was routed, driven back, so no Iron Brigade charge here into the railroad cut.
Sir, they've captured our guns! Sir, they've captured our guns!
Where are our guns being captured? They're capturing them back. Damn guns right here.
We've taken their guns! We've taken their guns! Sir, they've captured our guns! We've taken their guns! They've captured
Jesus.
our guns! We've taken their guns!
Alright, we're gonna have to launch a major counterattack,
Maneuver column, double line!
I think, to try and restore the situation on Cemetery.
Maneuver column, double line!
We haven't lost it yet, but our whole kind of left flank here is incredibly sparsely held, so I'm really going to pour in these troops here and try and restore the position, because we've got a whole bunch of troops to the right of the hill. We have basically nothing on the left. Now, they fortunately don't have a lot of troops either. Well, it does look like more enemy troops are arriving. I wonder if Ewell's corps is starting to arrive on the field. So the enemy may be getting reinforcements here. Great if some of Slocum's troops started arriving.
Sir, they've captured our guns! Sir, they've captured our guns!
Good God. The artillery casualties alone are going to bankrupt us. 450. The enemy's losted. Great word. The enemy's lost quite a few casualties of guns as well, though. When we counterattack and retake him, I think that counts as casualties for them. They're up to 5,400 infantry casualties, so 2,100 more men than us, but the artillery and the cavalry more than makes up for that. So, at the moment, things aren't looking pretty. Come on, 100, whatever, something, Pennsylvania. Ohio boys. Retake those damn guns.
We've taken their guns!
Yeah! Capture the guns back. One of those was Meredith's, wasn't it? Maybe not. Maybe it was Paul's.
Reporting, General.
Boy, oh boy, this is a slugfest. Those troops up and to the left. So those guys are just in skirmish formation. Stone's largely just here to look pretty.
Reporting, General.
More enemy officers spotted near... Oh boy. Alright, so Ewell's troops, I think, are starting to arrive on the field. We've got basically one brigade on Culp's Hill. Dug in, though. They've got very good entrenchments now. They've got that extra bonus, and they've got a double level of entrenchment. So that's good, but it's still just a lone brigade in very defensible terrain. We'll see how that plays out. Meanwhile, there's quite a bit of action in and around Cemetery Hill. We took a look at the casualty report previously, so we've lost about a third of our artillery so far, which has been pretty devastating. We've lost over half of our cavalry. Those two combined equal about 3,900, about 4,000 casualty points. Then we lost about 3,500 of our 17,000 infantry. The enemy's lost over 5,500 infantry and 771 cavalry. Nonetheless, they've got the advantage there. The victory points also give them the advantage. So currently, we're definitely losing. I think tactically, it's not a decisive defeat at the moment. And frankly, my main concern is making sure we hang on to Culp's Hill, Cemetery Hill, and Cemetery Ridge. That would at least allow us to have the historical first day's result. We fought about 3 more hours since the beginning of this fight here in this episode. We started around 10:30. We're up to about 1:30. So we're a good day, good deal of the way through, although not actually quite halfway through the battle yet. We're 6 hours in. We've got 7 to 7.5 hours more, and I don't think we can keep this up, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you're enjoying this little mini-series. Let me know your thoughts, comments, strategies, recommendations. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.